Raider Nation, if you got a commitment to excellence, I want you to hit that subscribe button. The GOAT Al Davis, when he said commitment to excellence, obviously he was talking about the players, but he also talked about the organization, and I also think that the fans should take that responsibility as well. I have that commitment. That's why I come in here every day. I bust my ass to give you guys free videos, but I also think as a fan base, even though the Raiders' playoff chances are not high, not zero, I want you to walk around, chip on your shoulder with that swagger, because we say there is only one nation. And this YouTube channel is going to make sure that we bring that commitment to excellence every single day, and I don't want you to miss anything, so hit that subscribe button. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and today's show is presented by one of my favorite sponsors, Manscaped. 20% off and free shipping on the best male grooming products out there. The new products that these guys have just been releasing are going to make sure that your balls smell nicer. I just got the new body wash. I don't know if you could tell. A lot of good fumes coming from down south. Coming up here on today's show, we're going to look at the NFL playoff picture. The Raiders' playoff chances, because I am a man of my word, and I said as long as that there is a chance, I got to talk about it. I'm going to go through two of the crazy Raiders playoff scenarios, and then we'll talk about Denzel Perryman's injury and Chandler Jones' injury news as well. So let's go. Get out your camera. Take a screenshot. It's playoff picture time. The only real spots that Las Vegas should be looking at, or at least Raider Nation should be looking at, is the 6th spot where the Chargers are at, the 7th spot where the Miami Dolphins are at, and then essentially the Patriots, Jets, Titans, Steelers, and the Las Vegas Raiders. So when you look at the AFC standings as it currently is right now, at the time I am making this video, the Raiders are at number 12, at 6-9. Not very nice, but that's just the world that we're living in right now. The fact that all of these teams can still make the playoffs, and potentially the Raiders can get in with an 8-9 record. It's crazy, but that's just what the AFC is right now. So I'm going to ask the nation. Type Y for yes, or you could type your N for no. Do you even want the Raiders to make the playoffs at this point? I've gone on social media and I see, the Raiders don't deserve to make it. This team doesn't deserve to make it. The only way you're going to ever get change is if other things happen. And I know there's a lot of people out there that don't want the Raiders to make the playoffs. They want them to lose the remaining 2 games and get a better draft pick. My take is this. Of course, I want the Raiders to make the playoffs. Is it maybe the best thing for them long term? I don't know. But I also know I've watched the Raiders blow their past 7 first-round picks, and I know the draft is not guaranteed either. If the Raiders can win their next 2 games, I know, clown face, and figure out a way to make the playoffs, obviously I'm going to be ecstatic about it. Now, the final 2 games for the Silver and Black, let's face it, it's not going to be an easy test. You're going up against the San Francisco 49ers, and if it's Brock Purdy, this team right now is rolling. I mean, this dude's thrown 2 touchdowns in 4 straight games. You have arguably the best overall roster. And then for the Chiefs at 12-3, I mean, it's just absolutely insane. And I'm looking right now, there's some breaking news that kind of impacts the Raiders. The Denver Broncos, they just fired head coach Nathaniel Hackett after he just lost 51-14. So that's some news that just ended up going down. Another reason to hit that subscribe button. So I know one of the reasons why you clicked on the video is not only to get those playoff scenarios, but to figure out what the playoff chances is. The Raiders have a 2% chance of making the playoffs, and the fact that Miami lost to the Green Bay Packers, that actually gave the Raiders a little bit of life. So they have a 2% chance as it stands right now, according to the New York Times. So let's roll through some of these Raiders playoff scenarios. We're going to go to the number 1. I should mention that number 1, I personally believe, is the most likely to happen. Raiders win out. You got to win those final 2 games up against the 49ers and up against the Chiefs. Second thing, the Miami Dolphins lose out. So if Miami loses their final 2 games of the season, which Week 17 at New England, and then Week 18 up against the New York Jets. They've been bad on the road, and if we see all the time, if it comes down to 1 game, anything can happen. And if it's Dolphins, Jets, Miami at that point would, I believe, lost 6 straight games. As far as I'm concerned, man, anything is possible. We're going to go to the next scenario here in just a second, but friendly reminder that today's show is presented by our good friends over at Manscaped. Let's say Santa didn't show up. He didn't come down your chimney and you weren't able to go in another chimney. You can go to manscaped.com, 20% off and free shipping. I suggest you get your hands on the Lawnmower 4.0 or the Performance Package, which you can see on screen right now. Comes with boxers, the ball deodorant, the ball toner, some nose hair trimmers, because if you can get up close and personal, oh, you don't want hair to be sticking out in all sorts of crazy ways. So friendly reminder again, use code Raiders and bring in the new year with bang! Manscaped.com, code Raiders. Let's go to the next scenario here. It's the New England Patriots. They got to lose to Buffalo. If they lose to Buffalo in NFL Week 17, that gives you a good shot. So win out, Dolphins lose out, Patriots lose to the Bills. Next team coming up here is going to be the New York Jets. You need the Jets to beat the Dolphins Week 18, but you need the Jets to lose to the Seattle Seahawks in NFL Week 17. Steelers, doesn't matter which game it is, but you do need them to lose a game. Obviously, with them beating the Silver and Black, losing 2 games helps out. And when you look at the Steelers' remaining schedule, Week 17 at Baltimore, Week 18 versus Cleveland. Baltimore doesn't have all that much to play for. Sure, they're still battling it out with Cincinnati to win the division. But Cleveland, that's not an easy game either. Maybe the Steelers lose. 2 division rivalry games that you never know what's going to happen. And then the final one, Jags lose Week 17 or Week 18. Jacksonville, they play the Houston Texans in Week 17. But here's the thing. That game doesn't matter for Jacksonville. Win or lose, Week 17, doesn't matter. The only game that matters to them is Week 18 versus the Tennessee Titans, because if they beat Houston but they lose to Tennessee and Tennessee wins in Week 17, well, I guess what? The division's still wide open and up for grabs. So the games that matter, you need the Jags to lose at least 1 game out of their next 2. Coming up next here on the Raiders Report, let's look at the Raiders playoff scenario. That's the second version of that, because when you look at it, there's 2 ways. I'm going to give you the second one here in just a second. So if you had a good Christmas, like the video. I hope everyone had an amazing time. I tried to post as much videos, pictures on my IG story of Chuck. He was super amped. It was really cool for me to be able to spend Christmas with Alex's family. Obviously, I miss hanging out with my family, watching them play all their crazy games. But what I want to know from you is tell me something special that happened. One thing that special that happened. I'm really curious. I got invited to go on a family vacation with Alex's family. That's about as cool as it gets for me. So happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and hopefully you all had a great time spending time with your friends, family, and even though the Raiders lost, I told myself no negative energy on Christmas. Let's go to the second playoff scenario here for the Silver and Black. Raiders win out. At the time I'm making this video, it is Monday, so please keep that in mind. The Chargers have not played yet on Monday Night Football, and you need them to lose out. The Chargers need to lose every single game, so you lose your next 3. It's not going to be an easy task, but I've seen crazier things happen, right? Week 16, Monday Night Football against Indy. The Rams with Baker Mayfield look better. Maybe they can take him down. And then Week 18, we just talked about Nathaniel Hackett getting fired. Who knows? Maybe that sparks something. Chargers need to lose out. All right, let's go to the next one. Dolphins need to lose out. This is the reason why I've said scenario 1 is a lot more likely. I don't see both the Chargers and the Dolphins losing out, but I already showed you the Dolphins schedule. That's a possibility to me. The Patriots lose to the Bills. This one remains the same. The Jets lose to the Seattle Seahawks in Week 17. That one remains the same. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers need to lose a game. So those are your 2 Raiders playoff scenarios. I get it. There's a reason why you got only a 2% chance. It's not likely. I don't have any confidence in this team, especially going up against right now. If I were to pick which 2 teams I believe play in the Super Bowl, I'd probably say the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. And even if the Raiders win both of those games, if Derek Carr does not win a playoff game, I'm sorry, you cannot bring him back. I know what I said before. If the Raiders make the playoffs, Carr gets to stay around. If you don't win a playoff game, you go 8-9. No, you don't deserve to come back next season. Next thing up here on the Las Vegas Raiders Report by Chat Sports, major Raiders injury news. The Raiders lost 2 key defensive players on Saturday up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we have some updates on them. First player, middle linebacker Denzel Perryman. He left Saturday's game against the Steelers, and he injured his shoulder. It hasn't really been confirmed by the team yet. I got a source that said he underwent left shoulder surgery, and Perryman, from what I understand, is likely done for the season. It's not 100% that he's done for the season yet, but he is likely. And then we'll talk about Chandler Jones here. Chandler Jones also was carted to the locker room on Saturday with an injury. Now, he wasn't carted off the field. He was just carted to the locker room. He injured his elbow. I was told by a source that it doesn't look very good, and that's more just because, let's face it, when a player gets injured and 2-3 minutes later they get rolled out, that's never a good sign. So in terms of losing both Chandler and losing Denzel Perryman, we know that the Raiders' defense is banged up right now. Divine Diablo is eligible to return off IR, but I don't know if or when that's going to happen, because I've been told by Diablo's team that if he's not 100% healthy, they don't want to risk him because they don't want to put his career job in jeopardy, because you never know what McDaniels and Ziegler are going to do. Perriman, he's probably done. Jayon Brown's on IR, which means you're left with Darian Butler, who's been battling injuries, Curtis Bolton, and Luke Masterson. That's UDFA, and UDFA as your starting linebackers going up against 2 teams are going to run the football and beat you up offensively. So here's my question to you. With the injury of Perriman, I know in the offseason there was a lot of skepticism in terms of, are the Raiders going to give him a contract extension? Does he actually fit the Patrick Graham system? I've seen a lot of strides from Perriman this season, especially in the coverage game. And I'll be honest, I'll take the L on that. I did not anticipate that happening. But my question to you is this. You got Denzel Perriman going to be 30 years old. Do you bring him back or let him walk? He is going to be a free agent. He is absolutely one of the leaders on that defense. He's still not great at covering. He's a really good tackler. But in today's NFL, what are you thinking? Do you bring him back or do you let him walk? Personally, if it was my call, I would try to bring him back on a 1 or a 2 year type of deal, because he is like that father of the Raiders defense, and I know so many Raiders players look up to him. I know he's a fan favorite. He's a hard-hitting player. The issue is, I don't think it happens. I believe McDaniels, Ziegler, Patrick Graham, they're going to make their decisions, corrections going forward, and they're going to start bringing in their own guys. You got to give a little bit of credit to Patrick Graham, though. Over the past 5 games for the Raiders, their defense has played well. If your offense wouldn't be so terrible, then you probably would have actually won some freaking football games. And then again, y'all, the Chandler Jones news. This one sucks because he started to play really, really well in the month of December. 4 sacks in the month of December. And you really finally thought that he was starting to figure out where he fit on this Raiders defense. I wish Chandler a very, very speedy recovery. You know that he's got 2 more years left on his deal, and when you get up there in the 30s, you just never know. So if you made it this far in the video, show Chandler Jones a little bit of love on a speedy recovery. It is the holiday season after all. Type 55. Before I leave you all today, remember, hit me up, Twitter, Instagram, keeping you up to date even during the holidays. And if you are one of our loyal watchers over on Locals, I will be going live later on today to just talk about all the craziness that has happened around the silver and black. So if you want even more content and more exclusive videos, hit me up over on Locals, RaidersReport.locals.com. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, and I'll be back tomorrow for a live Raiders Report video at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific.